So now, given what we've talked about in terms of where students are with their transition and what we're hoping to do with our advising, how can we incorporate that into things like the email newsletters we send out over the summer? It's important to think about the specific strengths and weaknesses of the medium you're using to connect with students and how you'll use your various contacts most effectively. Emails, for example, are one of the primary ways you'll be reaching out to students. This is a fairly formal and professional way to communicate, which is why we use it, and because every student has an Agnes Scott email account. Emails are also great for including things like photos, links, attached documents, and can be personalized to connect with students individually and let them reply to you to deepen that engagement. What are the negatives about email, though? I'm sure you can list dozens. You get so many. So many of them are spam or not personal. They're not the easiest thing to engage with on your phone. You may have so many more. When you are writing to your students, keep in mind what you think about emails. How can you focus on and highlight the positive aspects of email? And what can you do to mitigate the things that bother you the most about email when you're reaching out to your students? Social media is another way we'll be connecting with the first-year students. This might be via the admissions Discord chat, or through Instagram takeovers on the office social media account, or through your own personal social media page if you choose to connect with students that way. Social media feels informal and it feels fun compared to email, right? But one of the limitations is that social media thrives on images and video more than text-based communication. And depending on the platform, it isn't great for sharing things like links. It isn't great for sharing attachments a student might want to come back to later. Social media also prioritizes quick responses over thoughtful engagement, though sometimes if you're lucky, you get both. It's also important to keep in mind that not everyone has a social media account, particularly on any given platform. And some people like to keep their social media totally private and might not feel comfortable opening up to people from school who they don't know very well. So social media isn't always accessible to every new student, and possibly not to every single member of our team either, even though it can feel more available and more immediate than emails. A final way you might be communicating with your students over the summer is via group messaging apps. GroupMe has been popular in years past, and you might enjoy setting one up for your students who prefer more rapid and interactive content. This kind of platform is very informal and not public, in comparison to something like an Instagram takeover on the advising account, for example. And it can be excellent at reaching students very quickly with brief, engaging messages. However, it's not a great platform for sharing longer or more involved content. No one wants a step-by-step in text messaging, right? And students may have different levels of tolerance for getting the multiple messages that a group message entails. This could be fun, though, for sharing informal photos or helping students get rapid responses to their questions. Thinking about how you will use different modes of communication is one of the most transferable skills you develop as a peer advisor. While some of the specifics of advising, teaching students about the value of exploration in the liberal arts, for example, isn't going to be relevant for many of the future careers you're considering, oral and written communication is a proficiency that will serve you well at almost every job, particularly when you show a level of awareness and flexibility about the different modes of communication. Writing academic papers is one thing, writing a good email is another, and being aware of the differences is a high-level skill that will set you apart in any career field. NACE, the National Association of Colleges and Employers, has developed a list of highly prized skills that employers are looking for from college graduates. This one, Oral and Written Communication Proficiency, asks for students to be able to articulate their thoughts and ideas clearly and effectively in written and oral forms to people inside and outside of the organization. The individual is able to express ideas to others and can write and edit memos and letters clearly and effectively. We see here, in that description, so many levels of nuance. They want in writing and out loud. They want to multiple different audiences. They want both formal letters and informal memos. Be thinking about how you are developing those skills and what experiences from this time you're about to spend as a peer advisor might make an effective example to bring up in a job interview, for example, to highlight your communication proficiency. Some specific sub-skills that go with this competency that might apply in this role are creating content, websites, media, newsletters, communicating professionally, which would include things like sending emails, making phone calls, or developing agendas for meetings, and constructing and delivering persuasive communication, like what you need to do to convince an advisee to take action on a problem. Developing these summer emails and thinking critically about how you are communicating with your students is a skill that will serve you well in this role and beyond.